everyone, Kimberly Burke here, clinical exercise physiologist and owner of the Rebel Fit Club. I had a question about footwear. I'm going to talk about tennis shoes today because most people are interested in what to wear when they're exercising. If you have Parkinson's, this is really a frustrating topic for a lot of you. I know this. So we can start out just by talking about indoor-outdoor tennis shoes. So right now, when we're really super focused on not bringing contaminants into the home, you have to be careful when you are using your shoes for outdoor walking and bringing those same shoes into your home. I learned in pulmonary rehab that the biggest contaminants are our shoes because people spit on the ground, there's bad stuff on the ground, we walk in it, and then we track it into our homes. I do recommend that you wear, if you have Parkinson's, that you wear shoes in your home. Now, I'm not talking about if you are doing a yoga practice or something without shoes, but what happens is people get used to wearing shoes, and now when we're in our homes a little bit more often and we're going more without shoes, we're starting to have more foot problems. So it's this switching back and forth of support versus non-support. So let's get our shoes right in the first place. So if we're talking about a shoe, just a tennis shoe, and I don't represent any particular brand, I know what works best for my foot and other people with a wider foot or maybe some foot problems like a bunion. You need that wider toe box for sure. And the brands that are best for that are like Brooks, Adidas, New Balance. They tend to have a little bit more room. You should always be able to wiggle your toes and have room at the end for your toes. So your toes should never be jammed right up against the edge. Then the other thing that you want to look at is where does the shoe bend? Because your foot's going to be in there and it's going to be bended. So if you take it end for end and push, does the shoe bend where your foot does? Well, our foot bends right after the toes, before the toes start. So that's where the shoe should bend, like this one. If you do this and the shoe just folds in half in the middle here, that would be a minimalist shoe. It's not going to give you really good support. So that would be one that I personally would stay away from if you have foot problems, because it can bring on its own problems, especially if you want to start exercising in those shoes. The other thing is the heel cup. The heel cup should be firm and not collapsible. Again, if you're doing this and that whole heel cup just folds in, then that's a problem with that shoe. You want to stay in a neutral position. You also want to have a good border around the outside, and depending on what your own personal foot health is, because people with Parkinson's can have neuropathy, foot cramping, plantar fasciitis. But also when you're talking about dyskinesia, that's a little bit, they take a little bit wider stance and tend to roll out on the lateral edges. So you're going to want that lateral edge of your shoe to support you. I know people with Parkinson's love the sloppier shoes that you can get in and out of easy. I get it. I totally get this because it's hard to get your foot in there and fumble with laces, and even some of the strappy ones are hard to get into. So there are shoes out there that give you that really good support and yet have some Velcro. So sometimes you have to shop around to find those. I would love for you to send me comments, give me some ideas of some brands so I can pass them on to other people. They're out there for sure. So what I would suggest is you get your really good supportive shoes for outside and buy a second pair for inside. And that way your foot isn't going from a real good support outside and then floppy slippers. Here's the problem with slippers. They almost never have support. You're going to be sliding around on them because a lot of times they feel like they're going to fall off your foot, which is what makes them so comfortable. They can kind of slip around, but they're dangerous for that reason. They may make you fall or make your foot wobbly. but also you're not going to be using your normal biomechanical healthy gait that you would be using in regular tennis shoes. You're going to be sliding and sloshing around. That neurologically starts setting up a pathway that's acceptable. And of course, it's not acceptable because we don't want you walking around without picking up your feet. We want you to have a really good, healthy gait with swinging arms. And you should have that in your home. You're spending so much time there. So avoid the sloppy slippers. They're not doing you any good. Get a good pair of shoes. If you do yoga and you like to do it barefoot, absolutely go for it. I understand that. I'm just talking about normal gait. So thank you so much for listening. If you like this video, please hit the subscribe button below or go to our website at therebelfitclub.com where you can subscribe to the whole article to this video and also receive weekly exercises and tips for people with Parkinson's. You can also check out our quiz. Tell me a little bit about your Parkinson's. We have full workouts, both virtual and in the club, or a little combination of both. We want to hear from you. So thank you so much for listening. Don't ever give up. Be curious and go forth and conquer.